It's Vanu,
Lasot,
Ray, Torah.
yeah. Amen.
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 Okay. I just strained my throat.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wednesday, April 17th. Wednesday, April 17th, noon, current events. And not going to make a big deal about that fact, except to say that we're kind of like on a war watch. And who knows what's going to happen today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday. Is Iran going to attack Israel? And I have been assured that they will do nothing that will mess up our current events class. So, I depend upon the Iranians to keep faith with that. So Wednesday, April 17th, noon. And then, believe it or not, Pesach, Erev Passover, Monday evening, April 22nd. And those are our big date things for the next few weeks. Let's check in a bit. Anyone have anything happening in their lives which is noteworthy or worthy of being shared or embarrass you and you want us all to know? Whatever. Anyone? No. Okay. So I see Merle. I see Diane. Hi, Diane. Rebecca. We saw Helen. She is now invisible. Susie, Cindy, Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Larry. Shabbat Shalom, Larry. Shabbat Shalom, Doris. How are you?
Shabbat Shalom. I'm okay, thank you.
Great. Roy, good to see you. Shabbat Shalom. Risa, what a surprise. Hi.
Hi.
You have more. The screen. Get it? Yeah. Okay.
Hi.
Okay, Steve, Shabbat Shalom. Mara and Harv, it's been a long time since last.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Barbara, Shabbat Shalom. I don't see you, but you're up there someplace. Marina, hi. Hi, Marina. Shabbat Shalom. David.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. So good to see you. Karen.
Hi.
Hi, Karen Sarachik. We actually saw each other this week, which, that's amazing. Maya, Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Maya, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Okay, what are you up to? What should your grandfather know about?
Just selling some belongings before moving back.
What?
You're becoming homeless? What is this selling belongings? Maya, what are you doing?
Just furniture before I come back to LA.
Oh, okay.
Where are you coming from? Where is she coming from?
Coming from Philadelphia.
Oh, Philadelphia.
Okay, Ray, Shabbat Shalom. Good to talk with you. Kevin.
Stop.
No face, but there we go. Kevin, hi.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get my video running.
You need a youngster in the house.
But Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Okay. I choose to begin something not unusual, but very, very important is happening with regard to Israel, the hostages, the war, the attack by Iran, if it comes. We don't pay much attention to this, but whenever there is a Jewish crisis, among the things that happen is the creation of new liturgy. It's fascinating. Those of us who are obsessed with it, wait for it to happen. And it's happening now, post October 7th. New prayers are popping up everywhere. And sometimes the prayers are totally new. Sometimes the prayers are rewrites. This one is a rewrite of the El Malei Rachamim, a traditional prayer for God. And it goes sort of like this quickly in the English. El Malei Rachamim, God of compassion. In a universe that lacked compassion, grant tender rest beneath the wings of the Shekhinah, in the broken spheres of human radiance, to the souls of each and every of the injured and the violated in the horrors of the pogrom of October 7, for the fear that fell upon each man and woman, elders, youth, and children. Our mouths do not know how to scream or put it into words, for we lament and mourn for them, for us. Because of this, our hearts are faint. Because of these, our eyes grow dim. Woe to us, for we are broken. Woe, for our homes were shattered, our souls and bodies tormented, our faces darkened. Therefore, compassionate one, reveal our torment to the world, and for all time, and from one end of the earth to the other. May the silenced voices utter. Guard our souls in the land of life, for life is our heritage. May we come in peace to healing. Please, God, heal the injured. Please, God, heal the families and caretakers. Please, God, hear and heal us all.
Amen.
We're going to see, it's already happening, it's no big prediction. We're going to see new prayer books emerge, new services emerge, all kinds of questions about liturgy. That is one of the ways Jews respond to tragedy. We reshape our prayers, we create prayers, we try to frame our concern in prayers. Okay, now we get to one of my most favorite sedras in the whole Torah, and I am not telling the truth. Tazria, and we're going to turn to Leviticus 12, verses 1 through 8, page 735, Leviticus 12, 1 through 8.
1 through 8 or 12, you said?
Chapter 12.
Chapter 12, verse
1 through 8.
1 through 8. Yeah. I am going to say something outrageous, and it's a pleasure to be here with friends. I know you won't turn me into the thought police.
You are too cute.
Who said that?
Me, Susie.
Oh,
Susie.
Susie.
I
Yeah.
love your sense of humor, even if it's related to the Torah. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
What I have down here is a personal note. However we interpret this passage, the role, the place, the understanding of women in the Torah is not determined by what happened in the Garden of Eden. Now, tomorrow, you can throw stones at me. It's hard 2 floors up. just throw it like that. But so much of what we read, and certainly in Christian liturgy, but it's true anyway in many Jewish sources, the blame for all that's wrong, right, dangerous, holy, whatever about women is connected to the Garden of Eden. But to my feeble understanding, that's not really where the Torah is. The Torah. There certainly are all kinds of other things elsewhere. And let me try to read this with you. And Eve wasn't cursed in the Torah because of what happened in the Garden of Eden. She was cursed later on by the rabbis. That's a separate story. But not in the Torah. Listen to this, and we're going to be looking at the issues which surround women's biological functions. And I have a little moment of reflection for you. As we read chapter 12, 1 through 8 of Leviticus, picture 14-year-old yeshiva bachers learning all that they may ever know about women from these passages. I have to tell you, that's scary. It may be scary, but it's true. The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite, when a woman at childbirth bears a male, she shall be impure 7 days. She shall be impure as at the time of her menstruation. On the 8th day, circumcise the baby boy. She shall remain in a state of blood purification for 33 days. She shall not touch any consecrated thing nor enter the sanctuary until the purification period is over. If she bears a female, she be impure 2 weeks as during her menstruation, and shall remain in a state of blood purification for
60 days.
66 days.
6 days. On the completion of period of purification, son or daughter, she shall bring to the priest at the entrance of the tent, meaning a lamb, a pigeon, or a turtle dove, to get rid of the sin. The priest shall offer it before the Lord and make expiation. Expiation. What's the Hebrew word for expiation? I will ask you one more time. What is the Hebrew word for expiation? You all know it. You're being mean to me. And I take that personally. Kaper, kippur.
Oh,
You've heard of that, yes? Yes. Expiation. Hi, Abby. Expiation. So bring it before God, and there'll be an expiation offering, whether it's a male or a female. However, if her means do not suffice for a sheep, she shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons for the offerings. And then the priest will take it, and she shall be pure. There is more to go on here, but let's look at the passage. What are the key elements here in the matter of the woman giving birth? And I'm going to need your help. What are the key elements?
Blood.
I'm sorry?
Blood.
Who said blood?
Howard.
Howard, you're in it. Yes, Howard, blood is absolutely here. A lot about blood.
It's impure. And it connotes death.
Blood is both impure and pure. It's both. And Tamara, please.
No, you said it. It both impurify and it both purified. So the ritual of the blood is this nexus between life and death. And the Torah is very aware of it and treats it as a very powerful reality, because life is in the blood, as far as that it says so in a few chapters down. The life of a person is in the blood. So it's
B'damayech chayi. You shall live through your blood. Blood is it. Blood purifies and is pure. Blood pollutes. Blood is the essence of life. That's why no Jewish cook should ever be allowed to make liver. Because the only proper Jewish way to make liver is to turn it into shoe leather, right? You have to get all of the blood out of it, right? And my preference growing up was always chopped liver, because my father fixed it, took the shoe leather, and gave it flavor. So that's good. When you kill an animal, take the next step. What do you have to do? You kill an animal, what do you have to
get rid of
do?
the blood.
Drain the blood.
Drain the blood.
Blood.
Drain the blood. Now, you like to know the inner secrets of the rabbinate. And so I'm going to tell you a secret, but I don't want you to share it with people who are not in this class. In the 20th century, we started getting a few rabbinic responses to the question, if you cut your finger and stick your finger in your mouth, have you committed a sin?
What? You mean you can't put blood in your mouth? Is that what you're saying?
That is pretty much what I'm saying. And the rabbis wanted to know, I mean, how many, I can only testify to myself. Sometimes when I get a paper cut or something like this,
Yeah.
okay, I do it, right? And some of the rabbis, having nothing to do that afternoon, wanted to know whether now they have committed a sin. By the way, the general attitude is no. One of the reasons, and tomorrow I'm back to you, one of the reasons which I still don't understand is that blood from a human being, eating blood from a human being is different than eating blood from an animal. And there are some rabbis who treat the prohibition is killing and eating blood, so that the touching of human blood to your lips is not nearly as serious, but it goes on to being serious. A person is shot, dying on the street, rushed to the hospital. Two scenarios. The person dies on the way to the hospital, or in the hospital shortly thereafter, what do you do with the clothing?
Throw it away. Throw it away.
Burn it.
No, no, and no. You bury that clothing with the fresh blood with the corpse.
Oh,
Is it the same as the bris that you bury the foreskin?
There was a book written a long time ago about China and about, what was it, dragon seed or something like that. When you scatter seed and raise up armies of Chinese soldiers. There is that book. We don't plant the foreskin so as to grow up an army of young Jewish men. Bearing the foreskin has a lot to do with myth, magic, and superstition. And there are better answers, but Lisa, did we ever have any grandchildren foreskins being buried? The answer is yes, but only from the Sephardic family, right? Only from the Sephardim. The Ashkenazim did not bury my grandkids' foreskins. Okay, that's a comfort. If a person is brought to the hospital having been shot and dies 2 to 3 days later, what do you do with the clothing?
You bury it?
Burn it, throw it away. It stopped being connected with the immediate flow of life. Okay? So that just becomes throw it away. Cindy.
Yeah, I just had some comments on the paragraph. Is that
Yes.
okay, so 3 comments. My guess is the reason with a male child, it's only 7 days, so she could be at the bris. That the time frame for a girl, my guess is that it's longer because the girl has a future potential for blood and menstruation, and that these time frames kind of give her a maternity leave.
Whoa, I hadn't heard the last part. That is 21st century social justice. That may not be in the Torah exactly, but you're right. When a baby girl is a potential blood-bearing person, and therefore the separation and the atonement has to be stronger. Okay? I hadn't heard the thing about maternity leave, but
well, it gives her recovery time to be alone and be with her baby.
Many peoples have separation times after a woman gives birth. When we were in Ethiopia and we were visiting the Ethiopian Jewish synagogue, and there was the main room of the synagogue where, of course, the men were praying and bowing to the ground and saying some words which were familiar to me from the Hebrew. Then there was kind of like an adjunct where the women were allowed to do their thing. And then there was another adjunct where women who had given birth would be separated for the proper period of time. And that separation is shared by many peoples. Blood is scary. Blood is dangerous. Blood can carry evil implications. Howard.
I believe that in the Chinese culture that after a woman gives birth, she should not wash for 30 days.
Okay, I don't know that. Okay, that's fine.
I had a Chinese colleague whose wife gave birth, and he told me that. He was pulling my leg.
So she could not bathe for 30 days?
Yes.
Well, that's a good way of enforcing separation.
But was that in a bathtub or a shower?
I don't, I think my memory is saying you shouldn't wash.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
they shouldn't take a bath for 30 days, maybe.
Good.
Because,
I don't know.
Okay.
but a shower,
I think it all
maybe.
fits. It all fits.
It was more than that.
What is the image of the woman in all of these examples? All of them. What is the image, the portrayal of women through all of these strange rituals? Please raise your hand so that we can do this. Okay, Howard,
It's negative.
please give me a paragraph.
The woman is portrayed as something lesser, something scary, something to be avoided, something potentially dangerous.
Thank you. Okay. Abby? Abby?
I have the opposite. I say that the woman has to protect the child and therefore shouldn't touch blood, shouldn't be around blood. Do you know what I mean? So I have the opposite.
Keep her healthy, very important. Any other comments by you reading this? What is the image of the woman fundamentally underlying this legislation? Marina?
I was thinking maybe she's also protected from the woman who has just given birth. Maybe she's also protected from the danger of society, some germs, some violence that exists in society. Maybe she should be secluded and taking care of herself and the child.
All these are very interesting. That's a great point, Marina. You do know that the way the rabbis refer to a man having intercourse with his menstruating wife, the word is disgusting. And it's wrong. And it's a violation of Jewish law.
But that's what the rabbis are saying, and it may not be what the Torah is saying.
Why are people beating up on rabbis? Most of the rabbis are nice. The rabbis have you now. This is please. I'm going to phrase the question carefully. In your recollection, have you ever heard of married couples abstaining from sex during menstruation because it is wrong or dangerous? Now, remember, I didn't ask you about your behavior, right? Have you ever heard anyone talking about this or that this kind of a thing is?
We're taking a walk.
Hi, okay.
We're going grocery shopping.
Can somebody
Somebody please mute.
somebody mute iPad?
You have the key.
Okay, Maya, you had your hand up.
I've actually heard the opposite, just having been a little bit more educated on menstruation symptoms, that having sex while menstruating is actually particularly beneficial. So partners who engage in stuff like that, it can be positive both emotionally and physically.
Wow. Okay, that does represent what we in Jewish law would call a chidush for me. That's new to me, but that's interesting. Maya, is that kind of like an ordinary thing or an unusual thing to feel that way?
So the science part of it, the physical part of it, it is quite usual that sexual stimulation for somebody who's menstruating can provide immense relief, since this is essentially muscles contracting and lots of pain is going on, that pleasure is a huge benefit. but the emotional aspect of it is also quite grounding, and it gives partners the ability to talk about what's comfortable and what's uncomfortable for them. So it can be emotionally and psychologically beneficial as well.
Thank you. And you'll be receiving an email from me indicating that the time has long passed for me to retire. This is brand new, very helpful, very, very, very interesting. Thanks, Maya. Steve.
I don't know who does or doesn't engage in what practices, but I recall hearing long time ago that it was forbidden. And I guess I'd always assumed it was because you're coming in contact with the blood.
From my, I have been driven back into the caves of ignorance, but let me try to climb out. From my understanding, Steve, yes, that contact with the blood to be avoided, wrong, don't do it. Yes, Abby.
Well, I've heard that it's wrong. I mean, I heard the opposite that Maya said, but the other hand, the woman would not get pregnant during her menstruation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at this point, this Saturday morning, I'm not going to pretend I know any science, but I think I have heard that a woman cannot get pregnant during menstruation. I think,
yeah.
Is that okay?
It's true. It's true.
I'm going step by step
because the
here.
hormones, it's the hormone,
Someone just walked into my room with a shovel and asked me to keep digging the hole. It gets deeper and deeper, and I will get into it. Okay, Mara.
Yeah, go.
So what strikes me is that in all of this, the woman has no agency. So if she feels that she needs only 3 days or 4 days or 60 days or 90 days, the choice is not up to her.
In the Torah legislation, that is correct. It is determined. It is determined. But the rabbis, I hope this isn't being taped. The rabbis indicate that if a woman has the orgasm first, the kid's a boy. So maybe she has a little bit of, I don't know. Anyway, I don't believe that. The rabbis believed that most of what constitutes a fetus comes from the woman. When I look at that legislation and think about, the male role, it is that of a lower level functionary. The fetus, according to early rabbinic biology, is mainly composed of materials that come from the woman. They will then specify whether bones or limbs, they'll do that. Tamara, please help me.
No, actually, the very first word, tazria, Ishaki tazria, is always mistranslated. It really says in Hebrew, when a woman produces a seed. So it's the woman who produces the seed. And that's what Ishaki tazria. And it's usually translated to make her passive, but the Hebrew makes her active. He's the one, it's her seed that we're talking about, which is itself interesting. But I was going to share something, if I may, a little longish, about the difference in time frames. So years ago, I was teaching this and raising the problem of the 7 days, 14 days, 33, 66. And I said, this is what the tradition says. This is a woman raises her hand and says, oh, it makes perfect good sense. She said, I'm an obstetrician and a gynecologist. And the risk to a woman after giving birth to a baby girl is greater because of the double estrogen. And there are cases that women who had normal birthing suddenly die. And it's very often because there was excessive bleeding after a baby girl. And so the 60 days, said this doctor, makes perfectly good sense. You keep her resting and so on, so she's not back to normal life and she's not likely to hemorrhage suddenly. I didn't ask the doctor's name stupidly, so I could never track it. I asked many doctors and none of them heard of it. But I looked up stories I knew about women who gave birth and suddenly died 2 weeks later, inexplicably. And in every case I knew, it was a baby girl. These are women who are famous for X, Y, and Z. It's not a statistical. So I'm just sharing that. And if anyone ever runs into information, please bring it back. But that made sense to me. And especially in Tazria Metzorah, which we're going to read, they seem to know things about human biology. So, for example, the Metzorah, the one who has skin disease, has to wear a mask, which is what we do. And then they knew about transmitted diseases. So I don't know. I just thought I'd share it.
Thank you very much. I'm going to relate a real event. During the current events class, there was a challenge raised regarding certain facts dealing with anti-Semitism on campus. And I frankly could not come up with the answer. I asked a member of the class to research. Steve did and came up with a clear answer. And for that, I'm grateful. And I shared that answer with those who raised the question. So I'm going to do the same thing now. If you have any family contact with an OBGYN, and you're able to do it, maybe over Seder, while you're passing the salt water, ask, reflect what we're raising here in the presence of the OBGYN, and let us know what you discover. Okay? Is that, somebody will, it happened last time, and I would really appreciate it because I don't know, and I don't want to comment, and I would value that. Okay, Brad.
Rabbi, you emphasized the word expiation when you were reading the passage. Yes. It's curious because the offering is not a sin offering. It's a burnt offering. So what exactly is being expiated?
Any other questions? Brad, the closest I'm going to come to an answer is that dealing with blood is so fraught that the situation requires such a sacrifice. It's not that the woman has committed a sin. Okay? A saying, speak to the people, when a woman bears a male, impure, okay? The 8th day, the remains safe, not touch any consecrated. impure, and then bring a lamb for, or whatever it is, for expiation. I'm going to offer another reason. And here I'm stretching, but we're dealing with basically pre-science, and you're dealing with how people try to understand. And sometimes their reasons emerge out of the mist of mystery and fear and a whole bunch of things. It could be, in my mind, that when the woman brings an expiation offering, a kapara, kippur, it is her way of indicating to the community that she's back in circulation. Does that make any sense to you? It's not that something awful has happened and she's making up for it. She comes to the priest, brings the turtle doves or a lamb or whatever, and it's a visible act. And from that point on, she is back in the community and she can approach the holy, or, I mean, that's me. That would be how I'd view it. Cindy.
Why is it a sin offering and not a gratitude offering for the child?
Tamara, I'm going out for coffee. Do you want to handle the rest of the class, please?
The so-called sin offering is actually a misnomer. The two basic offerings are expiation and reparation, chatat and asham, usually translated sin and guilt. But that's not what they do. The chatat offering, which is the expiation, is think of spilling some damaging material on your table. The chatat is the part where you wipe it clean. That's translated the sin, but it really means wiping the slate. So you are renewed. The so-called asham or guilt offering is really reparation. Well, there's been damage, so you fix it. Here, there's no damage, so all you do is you wipe the slate clean, but it doesn't mean you sinned. So the new translations don't use words like sin offering. I forget what they use here for chatat, but there's another word that's better for that. I don't know if that helps.
We are really in the weeds, and I thank you for your patience. To me, it's fascinating, but it also, from these rules, added to it by a whole bunch of other stuff, the role of the woman was defined within Jewish law. Much of it emerges from this. And I'm going to offer as not a summary, God knows. I feel very insecure here. The woman is both blessed and dangerous because of the association with blood, but also the woman is a creator. And that puts her into a special category. You might say that should be raising the woman up. But do you remember what it says about God in Leviticus and elsewhere? Or certainly says it in Leviticus. We saw that. We saw that with Nadav and Avihu. You draw close to God, you are in danger. Okay? The woman who creates as God creates, draws close to God and is dangerous and is herself in danger. At least this is how I've come to understand it. You do know that one of my favorite religious practices is the use of sacred prostitutes. I just think it's a great idea, but I'm not recommending. I'm sorry, Risa. I'm just talking religiously. That women could bring you closer to God. And there were professions in the ancient world in which women served this purpose. And so, for example, for the farmers among us, if you want to guarantee the fertility of your field, you would go out with a sacred prostitute and have intercourse in the field. And this would be a kind of a magic to bring fertility. I'm going to stop here. Not that it's fulfilled, but I am so close to what I don't know. Risa?
I'm just going to read what I just found. One thing doctors know for certain is that in the second and third trimesters, women having girls display higher levels of a hormone known as maternal serum, HCG, than do women pregnant with boys. Now, new research suggests that such hormonal differences appear less than 3 weeks after conceptions. The findings published today in the journal blah, 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 may help explain how girls and boys exert control over their mother's hormones. So there's definitely a difference. And this article is talking about, can we tell earlier to predict gender? And so far, they're not successful with that. But they did find some differences as early as day 16.
Thank you.
Anything to help.
No, you don't mean that, but thank you. Howard? Howard, I can't hear you.
It might not seem that it doesn't seem to me that necessarily that the text is really interested in protecting the women. It's only interested in protecting the ritual and the ritual objects. You know, it doesn't say she can't cook, she can't, you know, carry 50-pound sacks of wheat or anything like that. It just says she can't touch anything that's holy and that she is impure. Maybe she has to live in a special house or something like that, but she doesn't, there's nothing, I don't see anything in here about helping the woman.
Okay, I'm going to just make reference now to close off the topic in my prepared fashion. Leviticus 17:10-14. You don't have to go there. I'll share the text with you. It deals with, I shall set my face against the person who eats the blood. I shall cut him off. Karet, a very severe punishment. Karet. Because the flesh's life is in the blood. And I have given it to you on altar to make atonement. In other words, the bringing of the blood to the altar is one of the ways of bridging the gap between us and God. Pouring out the blood is an act of reconciliation with God. If you are slaughtering an animal You don't throw the blood in the garbage. The tradition is the slaughtered animal's blood should be spilled on the ground and absorbed into the earth. On account of this, I say to the children of Israel, every person among you shall not eat blood, and the alien, your stranger in your community, don't eat blood. But here, listen what it says. Those who hunt game, animal, or bird, that may be eaten, he shall spill out its blood and cover it with dust. It doesn't say human blood. Because all flesh is life, its blood is one with its life. Blood and life are one. So I say to the children of Israel, you shall not eat the blood of all flesh. All flesh is life, it's blood. Everyone who eats will have karet, and my key word for the day is liminal. It is through blood that you move to life or to death. Liminal. It's a moving thing. Blood is to be treated very well. Now, I am going to share with you an Ibn Ezra I found. I can't believe that I never heard this before. Ibn Ezra states in his commentary in this Sedra, human life begins at birth, period. Please hear what I just said. One of the most significant commentators on Jewish text forever explicitly states human life begins at birth. The notion of human life beginning with conception is not Jewish. It is an example of Christian nationalism trying to dominate the moral life of America. There, I said it. That was a pregnant pause, so that you, the interesting word, pregnant pause, so that you can absorb what I just said. When they argue in Congress about when life begins, they are doing theology of a specific sort, and it should be called out on that basis. It ain't Jewish. All of you who are Christian and choose to believe that, go for it. But don't tell me this is my word from God. Okay, I see Larry, then Steve.
I'm sure you know that there are lawsuits in states that have restricted or outlawed abortion brought by Jews and other religions, not just Jews, in fact, some Christians as well, challenging the law on freedom of religion grounds.
Yes, and I guess what I am not altogether certain why I never grabbed this text from Ibn Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
It is not even a complicated text. It is a terse text. Human life begins at birth. Now, there are all kinds of other descriptions, you know how that works. But we Jews ought to be able to stand up against those who want to control the lives of women by saying, cool, believe as you will, but that's not Jewish. you're imposing Christian faith on Jewish believers.
Absolutely.
You agree with me?
I do.
This morning, I needed that. That's good. Steve.
I agree with you too. But I want to get even beyond that. I have a vague recollection that until a baby reaches a certain number of days old, if the baby dies, and certainly in the case of a stillbirth, there isn't even a funeral that you would have for a human.
Okay, and I'm gonna, just because time is fleeting, Steve, yes, but there are rabbis later who will go on to say, when is the child born? It is born when the head emerges from the birth canal. So, it's like halfway, whatever, then the child is a living being. It also says that until a child reaches, now this is rabbinic, not Torah, until a child reaches 30 days postpartum, the child is not given full burial the way, I don't want to say human, the way a living human being would have been given. I have to tell you, Steve, in my rabbinic practice, I have met families who kept babies on respirators until the 30th day passed. Okay?
Will some rabbis do funerals now for a younger baby?
I will tell you, finishing the thought, that for me and for many of my colleagues, the answer is yes. It is much more significant to deal with the family's grief than to deal with an arcane piece of ancient literature. I mean, that's me talking. That's just me talking.
I want you to share the text of your opening prayer.
Okay, I will do that. And my last thought, I am going to take a nap as soon as this class is over.
We love you. Happy Passover.
Yeah. The last thought is, why is a guilt offering necessary when a woman gives birth? The text says guilt. I accept tomorrow, of course, is reality. It's not guilt. The words are different. But why must a sacrifice be brought? Because a woman gives birth. And some of the rabbis answer as follows. Because of the kind of language that might have escaped the mother's mouth during birth. and to take care of that stuff, bring an offering. Okay, all right. I had a request, and I can get you the El Mole Rachamim translation. I think Ray asked for it. I didn't keep it on my own printed sheet. I will go back into my material and pull it up.
Thanks very much. It's too beautiful to lose, but obviously it's not a emergency. But thank you.
No. But I would have had my source if I were printing it or something. And okay. Murrow, last thought, then we go to Kaddish.
I was just going to say that many, many years ago, there was a family here when I was working at one of our temples that who had a miscarriage, and they really experienced a miscarriage, unfortunately. But they really wanted this baby named, and they fought it tooth and nail, and the rabbi at that time finally gave in because satisfying them, they weren't going to understand any rules or regulations, etc. They could care less what Torah or Talmud said, and he gave in and he did a naming, and then they wanted a funeral after that. So this was probably 35, 40 years ago. And
there are still rabbis who operate in that world, including not
right.
to have the feet of the baby buried in the regular cemetery. In certain Orthodox cemeteries, those who die this way are buried apart.
Right.
Which only means that every time the parents come, you stick a knife in them. Okay? But so that is, I want to leave you with this. I need a little bit of comic relief. Do you know that among other questions posed to rabbis, and I'm going to quote, where's my passage? I'm going to quote, here I go, and you're going to say, that's not real. Okay, here it goes. Can Jewish vampires eat blood?
Oh my God.
I mean, the rabbis have to find, I mean, this is not mainstream, but every once in a while it comes up. By the way, the answer is, well, since the vampire thrives only on blood, it's food, and so it's okay. So in case you have any vampires in the family, Jewish vampires, do not set them aside. They're in good shape.
And then I'm gonna stop at Bristol Farms for vitamin and I'll be back. They both booked.
Okay, I just threw away all the names. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do Kaddish now, and my names are here. We mentioned those who have passed away during the past month. Stuart Blumkin, Tim Deneen, Jacob Furman, Alex Lang, Joseph Lowenstein, Joel Canish, Alan Soroti, Norman Shapiro, Claire Weiner, Patricia, Patsy Kelly, and those the anniversaries of whose deaths have occurred during the past week: Adrian Edelman, Milton Agay, Moses Armel, Alvin Astor, Roberta Bear, Malvin Bank, Les Michael Bateman, Lori Baumwell, Jack Becker, Julia Gabriela Benvenisti, Robert Berg, Elaine Berkeley, Muriel Berman, Peter Canello, Sam Cooper, Doraya Delha, Betty Delinko, Lawrence Allen Dresser, Diane Edelstein, Abba Elkanan, Joe Annan Epstein Feldman, Mary Jane Fate, Robert Israel Feldman, Beatrice Ferris, Max Fields, W. Ben Finkel, Dave Fox, Ivan Freistadt, Louis Gerald, Yetta Goldstein, David Goodman, Lou Greenspoon, Edward Harbert, Bernard Harris, Betty Hollander, Deanne Dursky, Mitchell Jarko, Rose Carrots, Lawrence Cardiganer, John King, Suzanne Krakow, Dora Kreshek, Frank David Krevin, Morris Lee Kurtz, Bob Coote, Louis Lackman, Wendy Lannis, Pamela Lover, Mark Levy, Alfred Levin, Shirley Levy, Barbara Lipman, Lester Majofis, Helen Mayers, Edward McNamara, Samuel Miller, Dustin Mullins, Ben Pivo, Grace Pollock, Joyce Powell, Arno Prince, Hannah Pushin, Ruth Resnick, Joseph David Rosen, Betty Rosenberg, Ethel Rosenfeld, Samuel Roth, Ethel Rothman, Reva Sandler, Ethel Schatz, Linda Schneit, Simon Schwartz, Rita Sobolski, Manuel Siegel, Max Sheftal, George Schechtman, Christina Siegel, Hillel Silverman, Meyer Silverman, Katie Sluth, Mark Slangerup, Richard Morton Sloan, Jay Small, Selma Sobel, Martin, Marilyn Stein, Rose Tarshish, Leah Vayner, Irving Wax, Pauline Wax, Evelyn Weissman, Jacob Weinlars, David Wolf, Dorothy Wright, Julius Zellman, Ronald Ziff. If there are other names to be mentioned here, or if I mispronounced the names, please speak the correction or speak the names now here. We bear in mind as well the names of those who died in defense of the United States, those who died in defense of the State of Israel, those who died through senseless acts of terror and horror, those who died without anyone to say Kaddish for them. We bear all of them in mind as we join together in Kaddish. Yitgadal,
Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah,
V'alma,
Rod, Tuesday,
V'amlech,
Yamli Malkutel,
B'chayim,
Yomeko, Uchaye, the Kol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalah, Zman, Pariv, Yimru, Amen.
Yehi
Rabbah, Le'olam, Omer Maya,
Yitbarach,
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 Yitbarach, V'yitramam, V'yinaseh,
V'yitadar,
V'yithalel, V'yithalal, Shemei Kedusha, Ru, Re'eh
Birchata V'shirata,
V'shirata,
Tush
V'shirata
B'chata,
V'namata,
Damiran,
Randi Alamavi,
Omer, Yehi Rabba Bin Shemaya,
Shemaya,
B'chayim Aleinu Yisrael,
Ru, Amen.
Oseh
Shalom, and Imramav,
Uyaseh
Shalom,
Aleinu
Kol Yisrael, Ru, Amen.
May God make peace in the high places, make peace in our hearts, make peace in our homes, make peace in the household of Israel, make peace among all the families and nations of earth, and let us say Amen.
Amen.
Let me thank all of you who brought wisdom, knowledge, insight into today's discussion. I am very grateful to you. And I repeat, if you have an OBGYN with whom you are familiar and can raise some of these questions, send me a text with some of the answers so that I can learn and that I will be able to share with the community. This has been an incredible experience for me. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you. This was amazing as always.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Thank you.
Shalom.
Have a wonderful week, everyone.
And a healthy one.
That too.
That too. Bye-bye. Shabbat shalom.
Bye-bye.